Alright, hey guys, go talk about RDHL. Took a lot of losses on this one. It wasn't fun. Classic 18 Wainwright, super strong. This is one of those. This is one of those crazy ones, man. And by the way, it's almost 8 p.m. and they're still squeezing this. This is probably gonna gap up tomorrow. And be another crazy stock. So, um, one of those rare situations where you get a 40% pullback, followed by another squeeze, followed by another squeeze, and a gap up the next day. This is one of those crazy stocks, you know. Day two parabolic with a 40% pullback and another parabolic. They're just like, um, these trades are gonna happen sometimes, and I try to make some backside trades, front side and backside trades that either didn't work at all, like these ones, or ones that did initially work, but I'm holding for like, because I thought they were dumping warrants. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna dump this to like low ones, and um, I was holding a lot of my position. I got stopped out. Tried a little fake 5 minute flag pattern, got stopped out. Tried a end of day backside. I thought they were swiping 2.5 and they were just gonna pull it in the after hours. That got stopped out. You know what I mean? It's just one of those like, it's a mentally taxing trade, and you feel super tired at the end of the day. Obviously this one on a crazy little run the day before. It's still running. And yeah, so I wasn't shorting this in the morning. Um, I was paying attention to other tickers and I saw it uphaul and I saw it squeeze. Again, I don't short out of uphalts 99.9% of the time. I like to see the pullback and see some reaction. The first short I took was here on this little bounce, and that's simply on the book. We'll see that there were a bunch of offers. So here's the bounce off of 2. There's no ask until 2.3. So I don't want to short here. I want the stock to get as close to this ask as possible. Pulls down, approaches that ask, and I start seeing them stack more, and I start seeing a lot of stalling, and I see no bids. I was like, all right, cool. I like that. I like big ask and no bids, and the buying. Outside of the initial rush of buying, you see these big green bubbles. Like the green bubbles start getting smaller, it starts stalling, the buying pressure starts to let up, and I just shorted into the high 220s. But the problem was, if we zoom out, there's all these like 35k, 40k, um, sorry, 35k, 40k bidders down here, and I was kind of making that bet that these guys would pull their bids or they would get taken out or some type of thing would happen, but no, they just came right to these bids. These bids didn't even get tested and they squeezed it. And then we get the other thing where this is all empty space up here, and they just squeezed right through it, and followed by another uphaul. And I was just risking the top of these offers because again, you can see it here from 234 to 250. There's nothing on the book, so it's like I need to put my risk, and I know this is a crazy stock, right? Like this is like my TPST cover where I'm like, if this 234 gets broken, this is gonna rocket ship. So I'm gonna put my risk, where these guys are, because as soon as it breaks 235, 236, I think this is just go straight up, which is what happened on the uphaul, right? That's what this, the reason this instantly went up like this is because from here to here, there's no orders on the book, and there's a bunch of shorts who are positioned, uh, themselves really big on this. So, yep, I got out, small loss, and then again, I don't short out of uphaul, so I really didn't have the read on this at the top. But this goes back to the thing we always talk about on these especially on these high volume, crazy manipulated plays. Down only just produces so much empty space up here, man. There's so much of it that the order book to the upside becomes really thin. But then I'm like, man, I know they have these warrants that they can dump. Maybe they just did a high day clear out into a warrant dump and this just goes straight down. They had like 8, 9 million shares they could dump. I'm like, man, maybe that's the thesis. I just saw down only for like 25 minutes straight. I was like, all right, let me just short. I just see it deny the 1 minute 9, 1 minute 9, 1 minute 9. I'm just like, let me put some on and one. I put it on like all the way down here. It was such a FOMO trade, but it seemed to be working. And I was like, man, this is so heavy. They have these warrants they might be dumping. This might be one of those rare exceptions where you could chase and still make like 30-40%. And then, it started the base. We get some classic backside action of higher low, higher low, higher lows, a bunch of higher lows. And we get our, just like on my HNRA video, you get this crazy push, right? You get these two candles, in my TPSC video, this also happened where, you got some higher lows from these guys, right? And then you get this big, aggressive little push here, right? This is like this 10 percent in 2 minute type crazy push. And what we see on the book is I always know that like whenever you get like over extreme backside moves like this, and it even kind of happened here, but I like it when it takes out lower highs to the left. This is why I like this one more. Is that these often don't have a lot of continuation, so you get like your crazy aggressive backside move, shorts cover, longs chase, you get a low volume pullback, and then you get some type of like bullish, look at these higher low, you get these higher lows building up. You get your retail chase above the flat top. Sometimes it doesn't get above the flat top, but in this case it did. And if we look at the book on that little move at 195, we could see that on that 10% in 2 minute, there's no bidders, right? No bids following up. That's a good thing, right? I see. I actually saw. Yeah, there's a 20,000K bid here that was holding the higher low, higher low, higher low. You see some bidders. I see this guy come in. I'm like, all right, let me wait for a push above. Like 195 would be cool because that's a flat top. I saw the 195 push. I saw very, very little buying. So here's a little retail 195 push, these green bubbles. And then I see the buying stall, and this is, this is me shorting. This is me shorting in the mid 190s because I'm like, it's not going up. And then I had the $2, I had the 198 and the $2 guy kind of holding it down. So I did have some ups to higher. And again, and besides these bids that were kind of holding the stock up, below 190, there wasn't anything to 180. So I was like, all right, it should crack the 180, and then hopefully crack on a bigger picture, right? So you get your crack to 180 here, and you still got higher low, higher low, higher low. Let it mess around for a little bit, and then you get, the real crack, which is this. And I covered a little bit here. I was like, all right, let me take some off just because, my average is 195 and high day was like 270. So I'm like, you know what, this is kind of, yeah, I'm playing a dilution thesis, but, my average isn't the best here. So let me take some off. And yeah, man, I really did think that this move here was a backside clear out because you can actually see that there's lower high, and you got all these lower highs. So, like, this lower high was 219. So everyone who chases a dump had an average below 219. I know there's a lot of empty space at the upside, so I'm like, all right. I see it grinding, and then I see the volume come in, and then even more volume come in. And once I saw this crazy, like, 10% instant squeeze past all the lower highs, the 219 lower highs, I'm like, all right, let me wait for a pullback and let me wait for some type of retail flag, right? And you got, like, I thought this was genius. I was like, man, there's all these higher low, higher low, higher low. There's all these higher lows. You got your low volume pullback. Retail's going to chase the 5-minute flag, and I just started shorting into these pushes. I was shorting in the mid 220s, and I think on the book, let's go to the book. That was here. Yeah, on these pushes here, again, we get your big retail push, these big green candles, and then the buying stalls. And then I have, ask at 220, ask at 222, ask at 216s. I had all the, and then I saw very little bids, like Like, oh man, there's only one bidder at 2, and there's some guys in the low 190. So I thought, like, bare minimum, I'm at least gonna get a crack to the 190s, and then maybe even 180s. Like, I thought this was potential big backside. I didn't see, again, on these big retail pushes, I didn't see bids following this up. This was, 5-minute 9, 1-minute 50. This is your fake retail flag. Here's your retail push that doesn't, it's, the beginning is aggressive, but it doesn't go anywhere. There's no bids on there. I was like, oh man, this is an easy trade, man. This is a nice little backside trade. And yeah, man, I just got instantly stopped out on this candle, and I'm like, well, that didn't work. And then lucky, so the reason I trade with tight risk is because stuff like this happens. And then I saw them break 2.5 here and do another pullback. I'm like, all right, that's kind of interesting. It's at the end of day. Maybe they're just doing an end of day, backside swipe, right? They filled all this empty space. They got all the way up to 2.5, and maybe now they just pull it in the after hours, and each Wainwright just starts dumping this in the after hours. That's what I thought. I was like, all right, let me see what the book shows. Here's like your 2.5 push. I see the pullback. Oh, sorry. Here's your 2.5 push. I see the pullback, and I see this thick ask at 243 with no bids below it. I'm like, cool, let me short 239, 240, and I just started shorting directly in here, risking, this guy and this guy. No bids down below. I'm like, oh man, maybe they'll just show weakness into the after hours, and they'll just pull it, and nope, insane, crazy squeeze. That being said, I did get out. There was an ask in the 240s. I was kind of holding this down, and then once the 240s ask got broken, I actually just got out completely. So that was the end of that trade, and the stock is still going. By the way, market's about to close in 8 minutes, but still going. It's still doing insane stuff. So hopefully it doesn't gap down, 25% tomorrow. Hopefully it actually stays up for. So many times these stocks that close at 8 p.m. just like you wake up the next morning and they're like down here at 2.5 and you're like, what? And then believe it or not, like if this actually gapped down to 2.5, 2.4 tomorrow, if this at market opened into 2.4s, 2.3s, I would assume it's super strong. Honestly, I would assume any crazy gap down tomorrow will be strong. Okay. I'm just going to assume it's massive. They're going to just bait shorts in the pre-market and squeeze it a third time. So, I don't know. Hopefully it gaps up. That's way better. Hopefully it stays up. Hopefully I wake up tomorrow, it's at $4.50. You know what I mean? That'd be great. That'd be amazing. So, one of those trades to remember, man. H.C. Wainwright really on this thing. It's up 1,000% in 2 days. So, it'd be like that sometimes. All right. Well, that wasn't really that fun trading this. All my ideas either didn't work or kind of worked and kind of sucked. So, anyways, have a good one, guys.